blasting, billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes.
I'm Tom Bain, and this is Wine, Money, and Song. If you're interested in wines and wanting to find out the best values, please subscribe. So the next two episodes, there'll be an A and B. The A part will be planning a wine cellar. And the B part will be actually designing it and the actual construction of your wine facility, where you're going to store your wine, whether it be a basement, whether it be a room, whether it be a corner somewhere in an apartment, or if you have a house and you want to use your total basement or a spare room. But first, the planning. Now, if you caught the wine bug, you all of a sudden say, "Hey, I like having, wine, and I want to start having wine available in my house, and I want to start maybe buying certain types of wine and having them available to me." You catch the bug. Now, you catch the bug. The question is this. All of a sudden you say, "Well, I want to have wine around." Now, if you live in an apartment in a major city in New York, you're always cramped for room. And your choices in a small apartment, even in a big apartment, first is a wine fridge. Now, you could store as little as 1 or 2 cases in a wine fridge. And these things started about 25 years ago. They were popping up and they were part of furniture. Many of them went in kitchens, and you don't want to put your wines in a kitchen because you cook and there's excess heat that's thrown off. Now, if it's an enclosed refrigerated unit, which they are, then it's okay. But I would always store it away from a source of heat. Now, you could do the wine fridge, and some of the wine fridges can fit up to 10 cases, but those are very expensive. And it's a question. The most important question is when you decide you want to start saving wine and storing wine is, what's the goal? How many cases do you want to wind up with? And most people say 100 cases. So I always tell them, if you plan on 100 cases, build for 200 cases. Because if you catch the bug and all of a sudden you have enough cash and you're really excited by it, you're going to buy more than 100 cases. You're going to run out of room. And that's the biggest problem of people when they start collecting wine and are really interested. They start very slowly, and then all of a sudden they go crazy. They get a bonus check, and they spend the whole bonus check on wine. And then you run out of space very, very quickly. So besides a wine fridge, you could take a corner of a room and you could dig it out and you can insulate it. You can put insulated board, or green board it's called. You can insulate it with closed cell spray insulation, which has a vapor barrier, and then you cover it with a glass door. And when I moved to California, a lot of people had those glass storage rooms for their wines behind glass, and they refrigerated the room. Now, aesthetics plays a large part of these glass enclosed rooms, and many of them have very elaborate racking. And sometimes you pay half of the cost of building the wine cellar is the racking. And to me, it was all about maximum storage and the best storage conditions as far as temperature and humidity. And you can pay up to $50,000 to have your wine wine area insulated, racking, and that's a lot of money. And to me, the most important to me is getting the maximum amount of wine stored at the lowest price under the most ideal conditions. And that's generally done by going below ground, subterranean, where you don't need refrigeration. Once you go 5.5 feet below ground, generally the soil temperature is around 55 to 57 degrees. Does it change during the summer? Yes, it does. A few degrees up, and then in the winter, but it's very, very slow. And if you want long-term storage, and if you're going to have a lot of wines, generally that's the way to go. Or to use professional storage facilities. I have friends who spend over $10,000 a year in storage costs. And to me, that's not my way. I would rather, I buy the wines because they're appreciating asset. I don't like buying depreciating assets. And if you're going to factor in storage costs, you can easily make a appreciating asset a depreciating one with the cost of storage. So keep that in mind. And you have to think, again, the most important thing is how many cases are you going to wind up with. And as I said, you outgrow your storage facility once you get really hot to trot and you catch the bug and you have a little extra money in your pocket. And you can store it in relatives' homes, friends' homes, and I've done that a few times. But I like being near my wine where I can have dinner that night and just grab a bottle and have it. Presently, I have it in a storage facility that's very safe and secure and has great climate control. And the ability to access your wines are very, very important. And as I do the second part B of this, of building or constructing your wine cellar, and it's a cellar or storage facility. And you could do it at a friend's house. You can rent a spot where you do it. But there's a lot of ins and outs of constructing a wine cellar. And part B of this will cover that, designing and building your wine cellar. So just to encapsulate the conditions you need to store wine. First of all, it's got to be steady, cool temperatures with a very small annual range from the bottom to the top. I believe it should be less than 10 degrees Fahrenheit, the difference from the shortest, the lowest to the highest. Let's just say from 50 degrees to 60 degrees, 55 to 65. Now, I've seen acceptable ranges from 42 degrees to 65 degrees. I don't like that. I want the range to be very compact and very, very slow changes of temperature. And it's very, very important that you have a moist environment. Now, what does that mean? That means ideally, wines, because of the corks, you want them to stay moist. It should be 70% humidity. Shouldn't go below 60 and probably not above 80, 85. If it gets too moist, you're going to get mold and mildew. And you don't want that eating away at your labels. To me, the ideal temperature is 55. And I like my wines, red wines, served at about 57. So I take them out of the cellar, the red wines, and I put them out at room temperature for 20 to 30 minutes so they're at the right temperature. And a key thing, too, is to be away from a source of heat, meaning furnaces. You cannot be directly near a furnace, a stove, or any compressor that generates heat. And it's got to be out of light, no natural light, no sunlight, a dark, vibration-free environment is ideal. So those are conditions that wine needs, and when you design your wine cellar and construct it, keep those in mind.